Hello, 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 and welcome to today's session on MCPs and Claude Desktop. So I'm really excited to dig into this particular topic today because I have found that connecting MCPs and using Claude Desktop can be really helpful in actually finding that efficiency when it comes to AI in our craft. So a lot of the times as researchers, or people who are doing research, we get stuck because this thing that is put in front of us that we're told to use is supposed to make things more efficient. And oftentimes it just simply doesn't. that is the simple truth with it. And it can be really frustrating when we are told to use AI to make our jobs more efficient, get things done in a better or improved way, or help others get things done in a better way. And we're sitting there being like, well, how do we actually do this? And I think that one thing that I've noticed is we don't really explore all of the possibilities that AI has for us to actually explore, because either we aren't sure how to do that, because a lot of people tell us to use it, nobody tells us how to use it. And so a lot of it has to come through experimentation and trying things out and seeing how they work. But if you don't have the time to do this, if you don't have, let's say, the technical skills to do something like this, or if you're even unsure where to start, because that's the blank page syndrome is real with AI, then it can be really frustrating. So that's why I want to talk through MCPs, which are connectors, and Claude Desktop, because I think that hopefully by demonstrating a little bit about how I have used them, I can inspire you to give them a try, especially if you're new to these. But before I dive into actually showing that to you, let me just quickly explain what MCPs are. So MCPs are Model Context Protocol, and don't worry about that. Don't worry about the acronym. Don't worry about the real technical definition of it. But essentially what MCPs allow you to do is connect Claude to your different tools. So Claude can work directly with those tools so that you are not the middle person, right? You are not uploading as many files. You are not giving it certain links. You are working directly, or you're enabling Claude to work directly with these different tools. So it's kind of gluing those pieces together. So you can work with tools throughout Claude. So it can be chat, it can be co-work, it can be code, and they can work with tools within projects as well. So if you're looking for, I don't have many projects in co-work on this particular computer because things are local, but you can work within projects as well, and you can use skills as well with connectors. So everything is connected. But before I really run into how I've used these, the way that you go about finding these MCPs, so these connectors, are in the customize area, and then you'll see connectors. And I have a few connectors here that are already set up that I tend to use. But if you want to, you can browse connectors, and there are, I can't remember how many there are, but there are quite a lot. So as you can see here, a bunch of different connectors that might be helpful for you. And they span a lot of different tools that are generally used in like tech and product. So you have Intercom here, let's say, you have Monday.com, you have Miro, you have Canva, Google Calendar, Figma, Notion. So again, a lot of things that are used a lot by our teams, which is super important because, again, what these connectors are meant to do are meant to make things more efficient for you and start to automate some of those more mundane, repetitive tasks, or at least make them easier for you. So how does that actually work, and what does that actually look like? So as you can see here, I have several connectors That, and you can also give different tool permissions depending on what you're looking for when it comes to these different connectors. So that's something else you can do. So going back here, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give my Claude dude, some essentially notes from and transcripts from a very, very old research project. And I wanted to have it give me and create a Miro board, an affinity diagram in a Miro board. So just kind of going through this, I said I want to connect you with a Dropbox folder to have you read some user research sessions, and then I want you to work with Miro to create an affinity diagram of users' unmet needs, pain points, goals, and mental models based on those sessions. Now, it's all happy because it's connected to Miro. Unfortunately, there's no MCP for Dropbox right now. You can see that it tried. It's like, I have all these things, but I don't have Dropbox. And I was like, okay. So essentially what I did is I downloaded a zip file of the research and I just uploaded it here. And I asked it again, it asked me some clarifying questions. So what format are the sessions in? And I think it asked me if there was audio, video, notes, etc. And I said it was mixed. How granular should the affinity diagram be? I like observation level sticky notes, so I put that. And then how should I organize the board? The 4 buckets that I named up here. So unmet needs, pain points, goals, and mental models. Now, one thing that I wish I had done was give it a little bit more context by either taking a screenshot of a Miro board that I had done before or writing on how I do affinity diagrams, because as we know, the more context that we give our LLMs, the better that they perform. So I do wish that I gave it a little bit more context on what good looks like when it comes to an affinity diagram, but I still think it did a pretty okay job. So I uploaded the zip file here, and it's telling me that there's a lot going inside and it's peeking inside, which is great. So yeah, it skipped the video, which is not necessarily what I wanted it to do, but that's fine. We have the text-based information, and then it extracted everything from the 9 participant summaries as well. The notes spreadsheets are raw and largely overlap with the summaries, so I'll use the summaries of the source of truth. So this is annoying me, or it did annoy me in terms of granularity. So it annoyed me that it skipped the video, and it annoyed me that it kind of left behind the raw notes and did the summaries, really looked at the summaries instead of the raw notes. I would run this again, being more explicit about how it's important for it to look at every single piece that I gave it from the zip file and use all of that and accumulate all of that rather than skipping over the raw notes and rather than skipping over the video. So it went ahead and started creating this board, laying out the frames, and then it essentially did it with 105 observation stickies, which is quite okay because there were a lot of participants in here. But it did it by what I asked it to do, which is great. And then each sticky is tagged with the participant that it came from so that you can trace any observation back to source. So it also gave us an MD, a markdown file of this if we wanted it for whatever reason to be in a more text-based format. But let's quickly look at what